Welcome to week 34 notes. It's unit 5 in the security guard curriculum, and unit 5 is communications and public relations. And this topic, this unit, I like it because it applies to all areas of our lives, not just in the security field, but certainly in every profession and in our personal lives. So communication is a really big deal. So by the end of this lesson, the student should, without reference to notes, be able to list the 3 components of the communications process, list the 3 methods of communication, list 3 obstacles of communication, and describe the components necessary to be an effective communicator. The importance of communication in the security industry cannot be overstated. Public perception is reality. Communication can promote good public relations. The importance of communication in any industry cannot be overstated, particularly when the communication is with the public. The ability of the security guard to communicate will color the perception of the public, affecting both the security guard and the security guard's employer. Public perception is reality, at least as far as public relations is concerned. The purpose of this lesson is to look at how the communication process to look at the communication process and explain how this process is important for the security guard and how it can promote good public relations. So part 3, identifying the components of the communication process. The 3 components of the communication process are sender, the person delivering the message, receiver, the person to whom the message is being delivered, and feedback, which is the affirmation that the message was received. And I'm going to add in here, not only was the message received, but the message was received as it was intended, meaning the person you're talking to understood what you meant to say. Because that's important. Sometimes we hear somebody, but we're not understanding what the message is. So this was one of the objectives. You need to know this, the 3 components, and think of components. Another word for that is parts. What are the 3 parts of the communication process? Sender, receiver, feedback. Sender, receiver, feedback. Yes, you're going to see this on a quiz. So there are 5 uses of communication in security. Public relations, which is most common. Compliance, which means to get people to do what you want them to do. Compliance, which is to maintain order, maintenance of order. We use communication for describing events, and that's key for reports. We need to use communication in emergencies, and that's to protect people and property. And finally, for interviewing as an investigative tool. So while all 5 of these are types of communication, they're different. How you communicate in each one of these situations is going to be very different. With the way I talk to somebody during an emergency is going to be different than when I'm just performing a public relations function. Effective communication and public relations are essential skills for security guards. They're cited as the most important skill for security guards, and that includes verbal and nonverbal communication. And this is especially important during emergency situations. The rapid, accurate exchange of information can be critical for successful response to an emergency in progress. The importance of effective communication and public relations is apparent for the following functions of security: combating prejudices, tact, legal testimony, documentation, communications with outside agencies, and emergency communications. For the employer or supervisor of a security guard, written communication is often cited as the most important communication skill. But to the public, appearance, demeanor, tact, understanding, and a combination of verbal and nonverbal skills is most important for a security guard to possess. For a contractor or proprietary employer of security guards, emergency communication skills are most important to ensure personal safety and protection of property. The rapid, accurate exchange of information can be critical for successful response to an emergency in progress. So 3 methods of communication: verbal, which is oral communication or language. It needs to be clear and accurate, and it needs to be free of bias or prejudice. And then we have nonverbal communication, and that can include your appearance. You're saying something the way that you look, and that can be either a good thing or it could be a bad thing. But appearance is part of nonverbal communication. So appearance, gestures, right? Talking with your hands, pointing, eye contact, and these will definitely make a lasting impression. And I just kind of put some pictures in here to give you some visuals. You don't hear them speaking, you don't know what they're talking about, but looking at their body language, looking at their facial expressions, right? Looking at the eye contact, how close they are to each other, the smiles on their faces, their hands, they're having an animated, friendly conversation. That is what the nonverbal message that I'm getting, and I think you guys would too. If you saw these 2 ladies talking to each other, the impression you would get is this is a friendly, nice, good conversation, whatever it is, whatever it may be. Let me make me smaller. Oh. Sorry. Okay. So verbal or oral communication messages are sent and received by speaking and hearing. Components of effective speech include language, tone, volume, and message content. Oral communication includes skill in hearing, listening, and understanding. Nonverbal communication skills can enhance the verbal skills and the overall communication process. Use of oral communication, public relations, compliance orders, radio communications, some reports, and emergency communications requires clear and accurate transmission of information, which must be made to the proper person and within a specific emergency plan. Some common problems: prejudice, intimidation, a hearing impairment, insensitivity, offensive language, bad attitude, poor speaking skills, poor listening skills, and a lack of specific knowledge or information. So some skills to practice, because everybody can become better communicators. So communication can be improved by practicing these skills: practice listening, practice speaking, tact, which means manners, job, knowledge, positive thinking, and attitude. Nonverbal communication. Nonverbal components such as appearance, posture, demeanor, eye contact, distance, gestures or contact, confidence, and attitude can enhance the verbal component of the communication process. Nonverbal communication may be the basis of a first and quite often lasting impression. The importance of nonverbal communication for good public customer relations cannot be overstated. So 3 methods of communication: written, most important. It documents your activities and incidents. You will use written communication in reports, notes, logs, etc. What are some rules for written communication? Record every detail, accuracy, neatness, simplicity, and objectivity. Remember, no opinions, facts only. Use language that everyone would understand and interpret in the exact same way. So don't use words that can be taken in more than one way. Just a picture of somebody writing a report, just to give you the visual. Okay. Written communication is among the most important of a security guard's responsibilities. Complete and accurate documentation of activities such as theft, fire, vandalism, trespass, vehicles, people, accidents, injuries, grievances, substance abuse, safety and security violations, or unusual occurrences should be recorded. A written record or report will provide an aid to memory and may be used by managers or other agencies for a variety of reasons. Some types of written communication include a security guard's notes, activity logs, daily reports, incident reports, accident reports, forms, memos, and electronic email. So, just to review, 3 methods of communication: written, it needs to be accurate, neat, timely, simple, and objective. And I got a little phrase here: a dull pencil is better than a sharp mind. It just means that, you're never going to remember everything. You think, oh, I don't need to write that down, I'll remember. But then more things happen, and the finer details could be forgotten. And those finer details sometimes are the critical pieces. So write it down, and then you don't have to worry. So again, still talking about the rules for written communication. Record everything: the date, the time, location, who, what, when, where, why, how. That should all sound familiar. We did that with our police reports, incident reports, arrest reports. Same thing in security. The loss, any loss that occurred, injury, assisting agencies, etc. Be accurate. Details count. Be neat. If it cannot be read by others, why bother writing it? So remember, appearance counts. If handwritten, always print legibly in ink, black ink. And it says do not use cursive handwriting simply because that can be harder to read if you don't have really good handwriting. So in this day and age, with all of our electronics and our digital capabilities, handwritten reports are becoming less and less, more uncommon. It would be more typical to type a report into a computer, into a database, but you never know. You never know where you might have to handwrite something, and I know not everybody does have the best handwriting, but you need to concentrate on making it readable, legible, so that we can all understand it. Do it now, and obviously as soon as it's practical to do it, to write it down in the middle of an emergency. You're not going to stop and say, oh, let me write this down, but do it as soon as you can after the fact. And again, it's just so that those finer details don't slip away from you. Keep it simple, short, concise, plain, English sentences. So yes, you want to keep it short, but that doesn't mean leave out important information. I think I told you guys before that the better writers are the people who can convey the same information in fewer words. So instead of like drawing something out in, sentence after sentence after sentence, is there a way to say the same thing just a whole lot shorter? That's the goal. Be objective, write descriptively, no opinions, record the facts and not your assumptions. Okay. Grammar, really important, and as is spelling and punctuation and all of those good things. But with grammar, then, like, especially with verbs, right? Verbs are action words, while past tense, present tense, and future tense. So if you use the wrong verb, the wrong tense, it completely changes what happened for the reader. So you got to be really careful about that. And also, you have to remember, every single document, whether it's a report, whether it's your own notes, memos, emails, all of these things are legal documents that can and will be subpoenaed into court. So your reports will be looked at by lawyers and judges and juries if it goes to a criminal trial or a criminal case, even if it's civil. Okay, they're looking at your report to find out what happened. And if your report, it's got spelling errors and grammar errors and punctuation, it right off the bat, you lose credibility. Why should we believe what you're saying in your report when you don't even know how to capitalize I, for example? You refer to yourself as a lowercase letter. We're not going to believe anything else you have to say from that point forward. Trust me, this is how people think, and this is the impression. So don't do that. Okay. So you may have to take statements or do interviews in your security job. If you do, statements taken orally or in writing must be obtained voluntarily without threat, promises, or intimidation. The interview should be planned in advance, meaning where you're going to have it, where you're going to sit, what are the questions you're going to ask. You don't just go off the cuff. You plan these kinds of things out. So appropriate questions, suitable location, and recording method should be included in the advanced plan. Advanced training is available from a variety of sources to enhance interviewing ability. It's time for a quiz, and you guys can take this on your own. You should be working through this after you watch my video. Go back through it to write your notes down. But I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to do a part 2. We're halfway through this unit, so this video will be part 1, and then we'll do part 2 and finish it up. Okay.